One of the most common things overwhelmed homemakers are missing is structure, not just motivation. When your brain never knows what comes next, everything feels urgent, and urgent is overwhelming. Are you a mom who dreams of that homestead life you see on Instagram, who feels called to Christian homemaking? You feel like you'd need an extra 12 hours in your day, along with another set of hands, just to make your home work the way you know it could. Welcome to Simply Living Homestead. I'm Amanda Carlin, wife, mama, homemaker, and milkmaid. I've learned the secret to simplifying my time and homestead so my homemaking supports my family instead of exhausting me, and it makes room for the moments that truly matter. If you're ready to get time back in your day, manage your home with confidence, grow in your homesteading skills, and train your children in the way they should go, grab your pitchfork and planner, friend. Let's get to work. You're not a failure because you can't keep up. So let's talk about the solution to missing structure in your days. Welcome back to the homestead. Today we're talking about what to do when you feel completely swamped and you have zero systems in place. I want to help you create simple time zones and routines that bring peace and predictability back into your home. But before we jump into and deep dive all of that, I want to quickly tell you about something I offer called Homestead Systems Mentorship. Because honestly, if you're listening to this episode feeling completely overwhelmed by your home, your routines, or your homestead, sometimes what you really need is someone to help you sort through the chaos with you. Inside Mentorship, I help Christian homemakers and homesteading women create simple systems and rhythms that actually work with your real life. We talk about things like time zones, routines, homemaking overwhelm, homesteading management, and how to build a home that feels peaceful instead of constantly reactive. This isn't about perfection or Pinterest-worthy schedules. It's about creating practical structure so you can care for your family, grow in your homesteading skills, and stop feeling like you're drowning every single day. So if you're tired of trying to figure it out all alone, you can find more information about the Homestead Systems Mentorship down in the show notes below, or by going to simplylivinghomestead.com/coaching. So let's jump into how to actually set up a structure and systems that are going to work for you. My life is no stranger to reaction mode. My life is no stranger to chaos and squirrel brain and everything else. Walking into a room and forgetting what you were doing over and over and over again. Constantly trying to decide what you're going to do, maybe possibly even making a decision, and then, nope, I have to go do something else because that thing is on fire. Not literally, but I come from a family of many, many firefighters, and one of the statements that we've just used a lot is that we're just putting out fires. We're just putting out fires. And what that means is that you are just running around in a state of urgency and you're never focusing on the things that need to be done that's not critically urgent. And so even though you've planned something for the day, oftentimes it gets derailed and you have to end up going and doing something else because the other thing feels more urgent. This really does lead to a lot of mental clutter. You end up holding so much in your head. At least I do. I end up holding so much in my head. And it's decision fatigue. Really and simply, that's the simple wordage for it, is it's decision fatigue. And I learned about this concept, and then I tailored it to fit me, called time zones. And time zones are stacked with routines, and all of these things are designated as systems. And now that I have them in place, things work. But if I stop practicing those routines or those systems, things can still unravel, and then they can unravel quickly. These systems are still new enough that if I stop tending them, things disintegrate fast. And for me, who, for whatever reason, I am not gifted with just learning habits crazy fast, and by crazy fast, I mean sometimes I can do things for a couple of years, and if I forget to do it for 2 weeks, it's really hard to start again. So if you are listening to this and you are feeling all of these things, I hear you and I feel you deeply, which is why I am sitting here week after week talking into this microphone and putting this podcast out, is because I feel you and I want better for you, because I have found better for me. I have found a way to make this work and I know it works, and I am super excited to share it with you today. So what do you do when you are in this state of constantly putting out fires and everything is a mess? What are we going to do to actually take actionable steps to fix this? I want this episode to be very practical. And it's not just going to be an emotional, oh, you can do it, rah, rah, rah. I want this to be practical, and I hope you can get some notes out of it. So if you're not really in a super great space to be listening to this, feel free to come back. It is okay if you do. If you can, grab a notebook and let's start taking some notes, because you deserve better, and I would love to help you get there. You don't need a perfect planner. You just need predictable rhythms that your brain can trust. And when your brain can trust it, your family will learn to trust it. And when your family learns to trust it, that is when your home is going to turn peaceful. Your brain was not designed to hold the entire homestead or household at one time. Stop trying to manage your entire day at once. Okay? Everything feels equally urgent when there are no boundaries. And when everything feels urgent, nothing's urgent. Okay? So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to set up time zones. Okay? Well, what's a time zone, Amanda? A time zone is a special block of time that you designate into your day. You are literally drawing lines in your day, and you are creating boundaries. Now, these time zones there are 3 different types of time zones, and you can have multiple of them in the same day. There is personal time zones, there is home and family time zones, and there is work time zones. And these time zones are basically a big chunk of your day, or smaller, but big chunks of the day. It's hours, not minutes. We're not breaking anything down into minutes. Your brain can't handle it. My brain can't handle it. Ain't nobody got time for that. These are big chunks. For me, my day starts off with a personal time zone. A personal time zone is time that I have set aside in my day, where I have said, during this block of time, I am committed to doing things that are going to take care of me and my physical and mental body. Okay? So when I get up in the morning, I have my breakfast, I brush my hair, I put clothes on. These are all things that, not my night clothes. I change my clothes. Did that need to be clarified? Well, it was. These things help me feel more in control of my day. It helps me feel like a person. It is the things that I do to help myself feel like I am important and valuable. And if you don't set aside time for yourself, nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to do it. So you have to do it. Then I have a home and family block. Home and family blocks are used for times where you are focusing either strictly on your home, or you're focusing on things that are going to take care of your family. Take care of the things that are important to keep your family healthy, happy, and thriving. Okay? And then work blocks are anything where you are focusing solely on one specific task or project. This might be going and working for someone. This might be working from home, like time you need to set aside to run a business from your home. This might be a project that you're doing. Maybe you're, like we mentioned last week, you need to set aside time to actually get your entire garden weeded to get it back to baseline. Or maybe you're remodeling something. These are times where you're setting aside a specific amount of time to work on something, and eventually it will meet its completion or it will meet its goal. So you want to be assigning these categories of work to specific parts of the day. And when you enter them, you lay aside all of the other tasks and you stay on task in that category. So you're no longer working on a project and then thinking, oh, I have to go change the laundry, right? Because that is mixing a work block. You were in a work block and you were mixing a home family activity in it. And so when you're in that work block, you can focus on that. When you're in a home and family block, you can focus on the tasks at hand and be able to take care of them. I have some other episodes back in about the 30s. You can go back and listen to them on how to very specifically break down time blocks. I have some very detailed instructions in those episodes. I think it's episode 34. Possibly it's right around there for sure. But you're going to want to stop managing your whole day at once. Then inside each of these big blocks, okay? So if you're like, wow, that's a lot, okay, I want you to stop right here, okay? You can go ahead and listen to the rest of the episode if you want, but if you feel like it's going to overwhelm you, go ahead and stop right here. Because just simply setting up those boundaries and respecting those boundaries are going to create a lot of freedom in your mind, because you're no longer thinking about all the tasks that you have to do at home while you're at work. And you're no longer thinking about all of the tasks that you have to do, all the things you want to do for yourself while you're cooking dinner. Because those are in separate places. You know the old saying of leave work at work? Well, that's what we're doing, is we're creating boundaries with our tasks and our activities. Okay. Now, are you still with me? Great. Step 2 is to build tiny routine stacks. You're going to start embarrassingly small. If you are so overwhelmed and so fatigued by everything that is going on in your life, you are going to want to focus on repeatable, not necessarily impressive. Your routines need to create momentum so that you can keep them up long term and that you can lower that barrier of entry, be able to actually access it. Your predictability is going to lower your overwhelm, which means you're going to be able to move on forward and add more to it and be able to create a deeper routine as time goes on. Depending on how overwhelmed you were, and trust me, I have been there where it is very super overwhelming, okay? Depending on how overwhelmed you are, it could take a while. It could. So I'm going to just throw that out there. This is not a quick fix, but it is going to make a difference quickly, if that hopefully makes sense. What's a routine stack? Well, a routine stack is just simply a list of to-dos that happen in the same order regularly. You're going to turn on the coffee maker, you're going to unload the dishwasher, and then you're going to reload the dishwasher. That's a routine stack. Then you're going to drink your coffee. Okay, that's a routine stack. You're going to do this, then this, then this, then this. And every time your brain, once you get into the habit of it, when you turn on the coffee maker, your brain goes, I need to unload the dishwasher. And it kind of automatically goes on to the next one. Another example is I'm going to put food out for all the animals, then I'm going to collect the eggs, and then I'm going to refill their water. Each task builds on the other, and you do it in a repeatable method. And the last point is to use your zones to remove decisions. You're going to stop asking yourself all day what you should do next. Your zones have already answered that question. Homemaking becomes lighter when decisions are pre-made. The decisions that you can pre-make, you should pre-make. Decisions that you don't need to necessarily make every single day, they're going to basically be the same decision every single time, stop making them. They're already made. You don't have to decide this again. So if you're struggling, ask yourself, what belongs in this zone? What did I set aside this time to actually do? And then ignore all the tasks outside that current zone. No, I'm not working on that right now. Most of the things that are going to come up as super urgent actually aren't. They just are pretending to be fire, and they're not actually. There are things that you will have to drop things, and you will have to change your days, because that happens. That's life. But most things don't actually fall into that category. And when we give ourselves permission to stop multitasking, and we give ourselves permission to work on the thing we decided to work on, instead of fighting every little thing that comes up to us, feel like we have to take care of, we can find that calm and that peace again. Your brain needs clarity. We need to pause with the hustle. And I say that to myself very gently. You're not disqualified from homemaking if this feels hard. You're not disqualified if homemaking feels hard. Systems are learned skills, not a personality trait. So you're going to want to start with structure before simply trying harder. And your tiny predictable routines can completely change the atmosphere in your home. I'm not really going to give you an action step today. You've listened to the whole episode if you've gotten this far. And if you are still struggling, I really would encourage you to contact me, reach out. Let's do a call together and let's get this figured out for you, because this is not something that it's super easy to do on your own. There is help and support here if you so desire it. So if that is something that you're looking for, you can go to simplylivingHomestead.com/coaching, or you can click on the link in the description below, and I would love to have a chat with you and see if we can make your days a little bit easier. Until next week, friend, I hope you have a great day. Hey neighbor, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share this episode with a friend who is knee-deep in their own homestead? Also, please leave me a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. It thrills me to know that this podcast is helping you. Keep watching those sunsets, friend. I'll meet you back here on the homestead soon for another episode. See ya!